Scoot. Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Hi. Hopefully there's some people on this. I think there is a few people that are listening. So I'm Dr. Mainieri for people that have never met me before. This is Ali Dameron, our acupuncturist. I'm the chiropractor. This is a live seminar from Ridgeline Chiropractic. This is actually our office. This is kind of cool. I've never done this.
Yeah.
Wow. We have a couple different screens here. So, but tonight we've decided to do this seminar because we've had a lot of questions from patients, and just over the last few years we've come up with a really good formula on how to fix what we're calling leaky gut syndrome or gut-related issues that, boy, relates to a lot of problems in people's health. They have back pain, they have achiness, they have bloating, digestive issues, they have stiffness in their joints, they're not sleeping well, they have depression. We're going to go into how all that relates to serotonin levels, your hormones in your body. It starts with your gut. So, and many of you have heard in the news about the gut health relating to autoimmune diseases. So we're going to try to tie everything in, give you great solutions. But it's so important that you guys start to follow these recommendations, because we've had patients, like I've had one patient come in and they were scheduling him for surgery because he had ulcerative colitis. And he, it was to the point where it was so bad, but he had never tried any, complete changes to his diet. There was massive amounts of inflammation, and literally going on this 90-day program saved him from having surgery. They re-scoped him, and all the ulcers, a lot of the sores that he had in his gastrointestinal system were completely gone. So you literally can save your family members their lives, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on medications and surgeries if you implement some of these changes now and you don't wait. So I think that let's go over some of the signs and symptoms. Allie's going to talk about that, about signs and symptoms that you may have some issues with your digestive tract.
So there's lots of different signs and symptoms that you're having some impaired digestive tract. Not just stomach issues. Obviously, that's what we generally think of, people with like IBS or irritable bowel dysfunction, gas, bloating. Those things are all kind of the givens that something's going on in your digestive tract. But what Western medicine is just kind of figuring out in the last several years with research is that mostly all of your health starts in your gut. So neurotransmitters are produced in your gut. They can, which affects your brain and mental health in terms of depression, anxiety, memory, those things. They're coming out with Alzheimer's studies that are showing that people have impaired guts with that. And then all the way into recurrent infections, low immunities, frequent colds and flus, autoimmune disease, skin issues like eczema, psoriasis, rashes, especially in babies and stuff. They're not immune to this either. Joint pain and achiness, stiffness, if you're feeling that. Fertility, if your digestive system's off, your body's going to try to heal your gut, not work on different reproductive organs, because that's not a necessity. So if you're feeling like you're having a hard time conceiving, you can start to look at your gut there too. Weight gain is another common one. Thyroid issues, headaches, all of those things. And in Chinese medicine, we've always had the thought that your health as a whole starts with your digestive system. So with what you're taking in your body, you're going to want to eat really healthy foods that have lots of vitamins and minerals and can make your body go more healthful instead of less health on the spectrum, I guess. And if you have a good working digestive system, your body's going to be able to absorb your food well, absorb all those minerals and vitamins and keep you healthy. Whereas if you're having more like leaky gut stuff or an impaired gut imbalance with not the right bacteria balance or something like that, it's really not going to be able to work well, and your whole health system is going to fail.
Yeah, I think what's been happening with all our patients is that they're eating these foods that are causing massive inflammation in their digestive tract. And what happens, the cellular wall inside your digestive tract should be really tight. It shouldn't be allowing any viruses, bacteria, and large proteins in. So what happens, especially when you have gluten, is that it inflames that cellular wall. Now it starts to open up and there's gaps. It almost causes like a tearing inside your digestive tract. If you look at it on a microscope, you see these openings. So now it's allowing all those bacteria and viruses and gluten proteins into your bloodstream, which they should have never been there. Now all those viruses, bacteria, and proteins are going throughout your body and becoming part of your cellular wall. So what does your immune system does? Well, it says, okay, this is a foreign object. These proteins and viruses and bacteria are not supposed to be here. So it starts to attack your body. For example, hypothyroidism, or any of these autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia, ulcerative colitis. I mean, you know all these autoimmune, rheumatoid. So your body is attacking itself because the inflamed gut, your gut started to open up. So we're going to talk about how to heal it, to close up that cellular wall in your gut by eating anti-inflammatory foods, fermented foods, getting the natural flora back in your gut. If you do that, if you eat this way, oh my gosh, you're not going to be shelling out when you're 65, 75, 85. A lot of your retirement money on all these diseases, these chronic diseases and autoimmune diseases that you could have prevented years ago. Even if you have some autoimmune diseases right now, this protocol that we're going to talk about can be utilized. You can decrease and sometimes completely keep at bay your autoimmune diseases where you're not using a ton of medications. You're starting to feel better. So this is critical because let's face it, Medicare, all your benefits are going to start to decrease. We know that. Social Security, everything's going to get hit. So you have to invest in your health. This is super important. More than Mercedes, more than a nice brand new house. This is the most important part. You should never feel guilty about spending money on quality foods. These foods we're going to talk about coming in, seeing the chiropractic for the adjustments to keep your nervous system, your alignment, doing the acupuncture for strengthening the immune system, lowering blood pressure, balancing hormones with Allie. So she's going to talk, we're going to go into some foods here, some solutions and these things you got to do. It's not like, well, I'm 50% there. Well, you can't do that with your health. You can't just, well, I'm kind of there. You have to go full on. And we'll talk about an amazing athlete. Maybe Allie can talk about Tom Brady. And I know some of you really hate Tom Brady. And I'm from New York, so we don't really like the Patriots. But if you look at him and what he's done as an athlete and what he's done to his diet and how he's probably going to play until he's 40, 45, 46. So if you can explain why his diet has enabled him to heal so fast, why don't you talk about that, Allie?
So, in my opinion, what we eat should be kind of looked at on a scale. And so there's foods that I call crap foods, which is chemical, removes body's nutrients, addictive, and processed foods on this side of the scale. And then there's pure and power foods, which are protective, optimal nutrition, wisdom of the ancients, enriching and regenerating on this side. So when you look at food, you really should look at, is this food should be your medicine. So is this food going to make my health go this way or this way? We want to start to choose foods that are going to enrich our health and help our bodies instead of harm them and make them work really hard to figure out what to do with them. So some of the crap foods that we eat are mostly foods that are totally processed and have a bunch of chemicals, pesticides, those things in them. Our bodies don't know how to process any of those, and they're very disruptive to the endocrine system, digestive system, and most all the other systems as well. So we want to try to avoid big, long words that we don't know the names of them, and eat foods that are just like what our grandparents ate in their pure form. We know what they are. They have a couple ingredients in them. They're not a lot of packaged foods. But even that, like, we're getting better at making more convenience type food that doesn't have a ton of ingredients, like Lara bars or something that you can still pick up if you're hungry, because I know that not everybody has time to prepare food all day, unfortunately.
Unless you're Tom Brady's chef.
Right, Tom Brady's chef gets to do that for him. So Tom Brady, I'm sure it's been like all over the news this week since they won the Super Bowl, obviously, but he does not eat, or 80% of his diet is vegetables. That's what he eats. He'll eat occasionally lean meats, and his comfort food is like quinoa, oatmeal, buckwheat, really non-processed, whole soaked grains. And that enables him, he's said in interviews and things that he feels better now than he did when he was 25. He never feels pain when he wakes up in the morning. There's no stiffness, nothing like that.
I think that's after him getting smashed and tackled.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the trauma. So there's so many anti-inflammatory foods that he's on.
Yeah.
And these are all the foods that we're going to talk about that he heals so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, so he eats a lot of the healthy oils and things like that. So super important to eat those types of things. To heal our gut, there's a few different things that you can do. Obviously, probiotics is a big one. Most people with impaired digestive systems have more bad bacteria than the good bacteria, and you don't want to just totally wipe all bacteria, because that good bacteria is what keeps us healthy. So we live in a really sanitized world where it's really clean and there's not many germs getting in us unless they're bad germs, whereas like our grandparents didn't have sanitizers and bleach and things like that all the time, and so they actually got more dirt and stuff in their microbiome is what we call it. So we want to take good quality probiotics. Don't go to Walmart and get your probiotics. Get a good brand. In Denver we have stores like Sprouts, obviously Whole Foods, Vitamin Cottage. Online there's some good ones, and you want
Jarrow is not too bad, right?
Yeah, I like the Jarrow brand a lot.
It's not that expensive. I think their $15 billion is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, so at least $8 billion in your probiotic. Definitely no less than that. And you want to make sure that you're getting multiple strains of it. So don't just get one strain of a probiotic. Make sure that there's several in there. So that's kind of the first thing. Fermented foods is another really healthy thing to do. So kimchi, sauerkraut. I like kombucha the most. I think that it tastes really good. My kids think it's like soda. So that's really good. When you buy kombucha, you need to look at the bottle though, because a lot of them now are starting to put cane sugar in it. So make sure that it's just the actual raw live kombucha, and like some of them have some like natural fruit puree in them or something to flavor them. But just make sure they're really pure forms of that. I like Synergy probably the most.
And you guys can look on YouTube. There's some wonderful recipes. If you want, you can make your own sauerkraut, kimchi, all that. You could check out Dr. Axe's website where he talks about fermented foods. There's tons of recipes. It's kind of fun to teach your kids about foods and fermented foods. Yeah.
The other thing that's really soothing to for gut health is some bone broth. And that's really easy to make at home. You obviously just get the bones. You can actually buy bones at Sprouts and make that with those. But there's also lots of different brands that are coming out with organic bone broth. So one of the brands is called Oh So Good, and it's OSSO. They they make a really good bone broth. There's lots of really good ones, and they're really healthy for you. They have lots of iron and good enzymes and minerals and vitamins in them. So that's also really healing to the gut. Cod liver oil, which I know sounds disgusting, but I promise that Blue Pastures is a brand, and it makes a few different flavors, and really they're not that bad. They're pretty good. But you want to make sure that you buy that brand because it's pasteurized at a low temperature.
And those are great for kids. Like if you have a child with ADD, ADHD, or autism, those healthy fats, because the brain is mostly cholesterol, you got to get more healthy fats in kids in general.
Yeah.
So it's okay to put them in smoothies, flaxseed, all this stuff.
Yeah.
To put in there.
Yeah. And then what he was just saying, like soaked whole grains like chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, those are also super healing to the gut as well. So those are kind of the things that you can do if you feel like your gut's in distress. Make sure you're avoiding additives, colorings, chemicals, pesticides. Make sure you're eating organic fruits and vegetables and meats. And then just do the things that we just talked about. And in terms of food, we're going to post a list of kind of normal foods that people eat. Like, for one is turkey bacon. And so turkey bacon is super processed. And a good, easy alternative to that is to just buy organic bacon. That's a lot more healthy for you. Other things are like low-fat milk, switch over to a raw, low-temperature pasteurized whole milk if you're going to do that, because it doesn't get rid of the enzymes and vitamins that are really in dairy.
Or if you really want to go for it, you sign up, you can get raw milk.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that's going to kill people. Well, that was a long time ago when they had no antibiotics. These days, it's extremely rare, but if you ever had an issue, you know, and it was, like I said, extremely rare as antibiotics, you'd be fine. So I would try to, as much as you can, you know, keep up with all these suggestions, especially the raw milk. You know, make sure that one thing that just popped in my head is that sometimes people are eating way too late at night. So if you're snacking like at 9 o'clock at night and you're supposed to go to bed at 9, don't do that. Your body's trying to digest all night long, and the food actually starts to just ferment in your gut. And it's different than the fermented foods we're talking about. It's not a good thing. You're promoting bad bacteria. So make sure that you cut out, I don't know, Allie, would you say at least 2 hours prior to going to bed?
Yeah.
Because a lot of you are snacking way too late. It's keeping you up. Your body's supposed to be fully resting. It's not supposed to be using its energy to digest food late at night.
Yeah, so we're going to post a whole bunch of dietary stuff and like things that you can switch out and things that are good and bad for you. Like if you use canola oil a lot, switch over to coconut oil. Coconut oil has a bunch of good constituents in there that will help heal your gut also. Coconut products, but make sure they're real coconut, not like a coconut flavoring. Himalayan sea salt is another really good power food instead of just your table salt. So switch over to that. So we're going to just post a bunch of different really easy ways for you to get better quality food and learn what to do to switch it over a little bit easier, because I know that it's really overwhelming. And also I always tell all my patients that health really is a long journey. You don't just wake up one day and eat like Tom Brady. That's really unrealistic and sets people up for failure a lot. So we're going to put these foods to swap. So just start working on that. Just swap over for better quality food. You're going to pay a little bit more, but like he said, it's really going to improve your health, and that's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think you could even start simple. If you look at the food list that we're going to post, obviously there's, you're going to have to make some changes, but oatmeal in the morning with some fruit. And then you have a snack between breakfast and lunch, like an apple, some trail mix, celery. Always keep food with you if you're struggling, because a lot of people are only eating twice a day, and your insulin levels are jumping all over the place. That's why you're not losing any weight, because you're not eating enough of the right food. So a lot of people say, well, how much of this and how much? Don't worry about that right now. If you're eating the foods that are on this list that we're going to post, you're going to lose weight. Now, obviously, on this list, there's going to be some fruit. They're mostly lower on the glycemic index, but I wouldn't have 2 watermelons a day because it's on the list. I don't even think watermelons is on there, but really try to eat. You're snacking more apples and pears and celery with almond butter. You're eating the right kinds of food. You're going to feel better. You're going to lose weight. You have to just go through your house too. And a lot of parents are like, well, my kids won't. They will. There's tons of recipes. There's a lot of solutions that my family, Allie's family, we have kids. I have an 11 and 13-year-old. And so you throw that crap out. You get it out of your house. Because if it stays in there, and if you're buying for your kids or your spouse and you're trying to eat clean, that's not going to work. You got to go. You got to get some of that like really bad, the crap stuff that we're talking, the Oreos, the ice cream, all that junk out. You've got to start eating these foods. And so, lunch would be, breakfast and lunch is supposed to be a larger meal, right? So salads with a lean protein at lunch, maybe some salmon and chicken, and try to bring your lunch to work. Then you'll have another snack between lunch and dinner. Dinner should be pretty light, maybe some stew, or it could be salmon with some rice and vegetables. And rice, remember, is gluten-free, obviously brown rice. And then fruit for a snack. But try to eat more often. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, we have kids, and I know that sometimes it's overwhelming, and sometimes we have picky kids too. I have a 4-year-old that's really picky, and even if you make them treats and things like that, try to make them yourself. Don't buy boxed cake mixes and things. Just really put the real eggs in there, the real flour, the real sugar, and try to really get the chemicals and the processed additives and those things out. That will drastically help your whole family. And there is definitely a product comparable to every Oreo chip, those things that you can get and not feel too bad about the additives and things in them.
And I think it's just, a lot of people say, I don't have time. And I ask them, well, how much TV do you watch? Well, I watch a show every night. You've got time. You just have to make sacrifices and decides what's the most important. Like I said, I'm seeing a lot of patients coming in right now, 50s, 60s, 70s, done no prevention or barely any, and they're a wreck. They're spending all their retirement money on drugs, surgery. So you want to be 97, fall asleep in a rocking chair, and that's how you want to go. Which in Japan, other countries, that's how it happens. Japan, they don't die of chronic diseases we see here. Just doesn't happen. They die from what's called old age, which used to happen in the United States when people were eating more real foods. The reason they have diabetes and autism and high rates of cancer or heart disease is what you're eating. So I think another solution we have, if you want to do it, we do a 30-day digestive repair kit. And that's through a company we use, and I've been using them for 18 years, through Metagenics, Ultra Clear Sustain. It's a powder. It's a mix that you put in water or juice, and you drink that 3 times a day. It has all the nutrients to heal, and amino acids and probiotics to heal your gut. Then you eat a specific diet, like our diet that we're talking about. It's really not a diet. It's just eating clean. For 30 days, you'll have better energy. You'll lose weight. You have less stiffness, less pain. And this kind of, remember, it closes those gaps in your digestive tract so that you're not causing more viruses and bacteria and large proteins in to cause autoimmune diseases. So this, we normally recommend with Allie, I think is it 10?
Yeah, if
10
you're
treatments.
having some issues with your gut flora and things like that, we we can work together and do acupuncture, herbs. I can personalize this diet for you more and help you stay accountable to that also. I've seen good success with a lot of different patients with things like irritable bowel syndrome, hormonal issues,
and then you
chronic
had,
diarrhea.
who was the patient
stuff.
that you had? You had a patient that was a really kind of cool story. Who was that?
Yeah, I've had a patient for a while now, and she's in her mid-40s. Came in, she has Hashimoto's and some other health things going on. She had hormonal things going on, like menopause or premenopause. She was having chronic diarrhea and things like that. And through weekly acupuncture for a couple weeks, and this whole diet, we put her on some bone broth and collagen peptides, lots of probiotics, lots of fermented foods and stuff. She's doing much better, which is good. It's helpful.
It's changed people's lives. I mean, people that they get to the point where they're taking medications, they have depression, they're just achy all the time, not sleeping. It's this domino effect. This can completely break that cycle. So you start sleeping better, you feel better about yourself, have less pain. So I think if you can do it, and it's not that much. How much was the 10 sessions for acupuncture?
700.
Yeah. So, and some people are like, oh my gosh, that's expensive. Some people go to Maui for a week and they drop 10 grand like it's nothing. So $700. She's going to be talking about which food specifically for you would do best with, and kind of be your coach and coach you along this process. It's tough to do it by yourself. You can, but it helps. The acupuncture will also reset your immune system. It's kind of like a resetting of your fuse boxes in your house. Yeah. So I think that, for some of you that are watching this, it's just a matter of taking the time and being a little selfish about your health and saying, okay, I've put out for my family, my kids, I need to take care of myself or I'm going to be in big trouble. And some of you know that you're on that pathway. You're kind of getting in trouble. You're not feeling so hot. And you don't want a real big crisis situation, which could cost tens of thousands of dollars. We had a patient just last year, 3 nights at Sky Ridge, $120,000. Now, his insurance paid for some, but they were still out about 20 grand. So you really have to look at this. Your expenses, time lost from work, away from your family, long periods of medications, the cost of that. So look at coming in for some acupuncture to reset your body. You could do the Ultra Clear Sustain system if you want with the acupuncture. Work on some of these simple dietary changes. Get the gut health back. We'll post this. If you have any questions, please email us, call us. You can call Ashley if you want to do the package of 10 with Allie, and really try to make a commitment that, hey, I'm tired of this, I'm done. Draw the line in the sand, I'm done, I want to feel better. These are the solutions, these are changes I need to make. So, anything else?
Yeah, no, I think that we covered most of it. I'm happy to do consultations with whoever on this. I think it's just good to be educated about how much your gut health plays a part in total health. And I think that new research studies are coming out every day that show the correlation between that and everything else. And so I think we literally are what we eat. And
big time. Definitely
need to start eliminating some of the stuff in our food industry and keeping it clean so that we can all live healthier and feel better.
And I think some of the things, this kind of just popped in my head. I know it's going, or I'm kind of rambling on, but this is important too, is that for some people, you're used to just this cycle. Like every day I've had patients say, well, I got to have my glass of wine at night, or I have to have my 3 cups of coffee. If you have to do anything every single day, that's an addiction. That's not right. You've got, your body's craving more and more of that. You're getting high, whether it's caffeine, salt, and sugar. Starbucks is not stupid. They put caffeine, salt, and sugar in there because they know you're getting high off of it. And a lot of them say, oh, high, that's a drug. Well, it is. They're all drugs. Sugar's a drug. You know, salt's a drug because it releases endorphins in your head. That's why you feel better. So you really, if you're going to start some of this, you got to start cutting some of those things out. Not forever. You know, once after 30 days and you've eaten pretty clean, you can bring a little bit in occasionally, but it shouldn't be every single night. You know, that's really slowing down your immune system. It's causing pain and inflammation, alcohol, caffeine, sugar, salt. You know, it's like
Tom Brady doesn't need any of it.
He doesn't. You know, he's very disciplined. So if you're disciplined in a sport, in your job, with your kids, you have to be just as disciplined with your food. It really comes down that otherwise you're going to pay. You know, there's consequences. So I really appreciate you spending the time. If you have any questions, I hope that, you know, we answered some questions. Always email us because we're running off our phones right now, so we can't really respond. This is the first time we did this, so I thought we could respond to the questions, but please email us, call Ashley. If you want to do the 10 package for Allie, just have Ashley do it, come in. We really appreciate you guys spending time and being wonderful patients and allowing us to help you with you and your family members, okay? So take care, have a great weekend, and eat clean.
Thank you.
Take care.